Welcome back to challenge number 19 of Alteryx Weekly Challenges. This is where you follow along and I fool around trying to get this thing to work. Use Alteryx to solve the weekly challenges, hopefully giving you some insight into how the tool works and some better ideas on what you can do, or maybe worse ideas. It's up to you. I mean, there are basically 5, 6 different ways you can pretty much do anything in Alteryx. So anyway, here we go. Let's get started with this one. This is challenge number 19, as I said. So this is a case of a customer has hundreds of Excel files with one common sheet available in all the workbooks. Through one process, the user would like to read across all of the Excel files and return the value contained in specific cells. So row 2, column 3, and row 8 of column 2 in sheet 1 of each of the Excel workbooks. The result should be a table or a browse tool containing the 3 columns of the Excel file, row 2, column 3, and row 8, column 2. We only have 2 Excel files as input into the exercise. Yeah, they were on the weekly challenges page for this particular challenge, so I've just downloaded them to my downloads folder, and the sheets for all of them are called sheet 1. Okay, there's a special note: for all data consumption, please check the box for the first row containing data. Okay, so unusually we don't have any starting input files. Obviously, I think the point is that we create our own. So configure your own input tool pointing to the attached Excel files. If we have a quick look at the output, we have basically the file name, book 1, book 2. These are what the Excel files are called, and then the particular values that we want from row 2, column 3, and row 8, column 2. Okay, so shall we get started and bring in the data? See what we do. Okay. So I'll try and give ourselves some space, put it down there. So the first thing we do is connect to the data. And they should be in the downloads areas where I put them. Here we are, book 1. So we collect that. Okay. That, and we have the data, but we have the first one. Now the way to get multiple files to come in without having to configure them individually, because we could have 2, we could have 4, or 100, it says here. What you can do is you can use a wildcard. So if the format of the file name is the same but maybe has the date at the end of it, or in this case is the number, then you can use the star as a wildcard, and then that will bring in all of the files called book something .xls into it. Now what we also want is that note here which says check the first row contains data. Okay, and there we go. And then we also want the file name only. You can bring in the full path if you want. So we're all set. So let's just, I don't think it's going to allow me to refresh that as that, but basically you now have, this is the query. So let's just bring in a browse so we can look at the results, and we'll run that. Okay, so what we now have, if we look down here, is we have all the fields from the first one, and then then it starts again with field 2, 3, 4, and book 2. This is important. This is the file name, and then we've got the numbers from here. So the first one was to collect the row 2 of column 3. So column 3 is called F3 or field 3, and row 2 is either 47 or 48. What's in here? So it's 47 over here, which suggests that it's the first value after the header. And if we go down to the next one down here, there we go, 94, and it's 94. Okay, so we just want the second row. Now the way to pull out that is via a sample. I think that's probably the best way of doing it, because in sample you can group by a field, and this is the field I'd like to group by, and we'll pick out the first n rows. So if we pick out the first 2 rows, that ought to pull us back the fields we want. So we now have that 47 and 94. And in here we've got 47 and 94. So now we just have to clean it up and get rid of the field values in here. So we could take the last row, could just use another one and then sample it. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. So I'm going to do it that way. So we'll take the last n rows grouped by file name, and we want last 1 row. Now that should give us just the fields we want, but we've got all the other the other columns, so we can just get rid of those. Oh, that's a sort. Don't need a sort. What I want to do is a select. Okay, so if we get rid of F1, F2, and F4, leave the file name, we want that. That's fine. Okay, so that gives us our first set of data. And if we copy all of this, paste it, we just put it underneath and bring in a connection. Now we don't want the first 2 on this one, we want the first 8, because if you remember from here, we want to pick up the 8th row of column 2, and then we still want the last one, so that can remain the same. And then what we want is column 2, not 3. And if we run both of those, run that. So we've got one with 47 and 94, and then 30 and 60. And if we look up here, 30, 60. So all we need to do now is bring in a join and bring it all back together. So let's just join them back together. We can join on the file name, and what that will do is we don't need the second file name. We just want to bring that F1, F2. We can rename them to be XLS file, and the row 2 underscore column 3 and row 8 underscore column 2. So if we want this one to be row 2 underscore column 3, and then this is XLS file, and this is row 8 underscore column 2. Okay, so let's just run that, and that gives us our table, although they're not quite in the right order, so we just do another select, and we can just move that one up. And there you go. We now have our table with the file name and the values from it as we wanted. There you go. Straightforward. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again next time. Bye.